ones that have been and have allowed themselves to drop the pieces and walk forward and find life on the other side of that level of pain.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
There's a level of fear inside oneself of trying something new because of, unfortunately, I think it stems from our childhood, of the fear of being made fun of or misinterpreted or not understood from our peers. I have grown as an individual and celebrate zero fucks giving. It's mentioned on almost every episode. I'm not worried anymore because the closest people in my life, there are very few of them. I believe they appreciate me for who I am. And that's being true to myself and what I believe in and what I think is something I need to go after. So whether they follow it, whether they watch it, it doesn't matter to me in the big scheme of things. And therefore, I've lost all the fear about all the other background people, that come and go in your life, of what their interpretation of it. Because for me, in this specific genre, those who subscribe, those true fans that watch every week, they're the ones that are wanting this information. They're wanting this type of show. So yes, I care what they think because I'm doing this for them, but it's not from an aspect of, oh, I'm worried if they're going to think I'm silly or stupid, because that's not why they're here. They're here because they believe in the same things as I do.
Really affected my life was I crashed a car with my sister in it and she passed away. We went head on with a semi. I shouldn't be alive. That was 18 years ago. I still feel it every day. I felt like I died. You struggle with that level of being torn apart. The questions are just existential. That questioning, that seeking has become a part of me, but I'll never forget the moment I saw her. Something that really broke me and tore me apart also has found conversations like this and so many people that I've connected with deeply, because the broken people of the world, the ones that have been, have allowed themselves to drop the pieces and walk forward and find life on the other side of that level of pain. They seem to find each other.
Confronting yourself and being like, you know what, I get it. Like, I understand that you feel a certain way, but in order for us, the one individual, to get to a possible better day, we have to let go of these things. And it's first admitting that you need to let go of things, because it's my belief, to become the best version of you, you obviously have to let go of pieces of you. You can no longer be the one you were if you want to become the one you want to be, regardless of the severity of the situation that has put you forth into a lifestyle of what we call going down the wrong rabbit hole. It's looking within yourself to figure out what it is that we need to do. But then it's, okay, here's a plan of attack. What needs to be done? How do I do it? How often do I have to do it? Is this something that I want? And is it something I can do? Before or during that situation, it really does come within it. I think one has to be okay with standing alone and being okay with it, and then having the ability to ask for help. And if you're leaning towards faith, opening that door to allow the faith in, because the faith is on the other side.
I'm totally on the same train as far as the wisdom of what you're saying, letting go, right? It's like sand, right? If you squeeze it, it's going to fall out of your hand. If you hold it, it's yours to do with what you will. Life, its energy is like that. I think the piece I was going to say, the point of when I saw my sister die, I actually felt like I died in that moment. And truthfully, I've been the one that has been unable to handle a lot of what life has put on my plate. My face was crushed. I have like all kinds of metal reconstruction. Everybody said, "Hey, don't speak at the funeral." I knew I needed to. Nobody else knew her like I did. The truth was, before she died, I had found myself angry doubting, running, dying in that moment, seeing her die. The brokenness that I can only look back on now and see is maybe singularly the greatest gift of my life. Weirdly enough, that sound like it's almost hard to say that. And truthfully, even less than 4 years later, my father was an amazing man. He struggled with depression after she passed. He drank more than he probably should have. I wouldn't say it was because of that. The stress, depression, I honestly think losing my sister led to him dying within years of that happening. Uh, at my sister's funeral, I spoke. I was writing down like what I'm gonna say, right? And I was in such a crazy, broken. There was so much going on. 3,000 people went to her funeral. They had to like put a new room together in the church for people to watch it. I start writing down what I'm gonna say and like wrote like 7 bullet points. I was torn. I'm about to speak. Her best friend was speaking, and I remember it was like in the movies, there's hear like ringing in your ears, right? Like I should have been nervous. I'll never forget. I bowed my head to pray and I saw white and I understood what it meant. I then had an experience with Jesus where I really understood him as the King of Kings. And all these things were very, I don't want to, it wasn't like an acid trip. Trust me.
Was
Yeah,
this all happening at the same time? Was this over a period of time? This is
it,
all happening at the funeral?
it was happening at the funeral with my eyes closed. And it kind of felt like being separated from time for a second. It was really extreme. When I felt this sense of Jesus being who he says he is, I felt like worshiping, which,
So sorry to interrupt. Before this had happened, you'd grown up in a faith driven family. Obviously, there was church and
mhm,
everything, but you weren't fully into the belief. You weren't fully into the practice or anything like that.
mhm,
And this horrific situation happens, and now you're put into a venue of people
mhm,
and uncertain on whether or not you should be speaking or not. Many people
mhm,
telling you not to, but you yourself felt like you should. And before
mhm,
going up to have this speech, you're sitting there or standing with your eyes closed, and all of these godly like things are happening to you where you're seeing a light which you consider to be pure love, your belief system, your true belief system actually being birthed basically
mm,
in this unlikely
experience.
situation for it to happen in,
Sure,
right? Or maybe it was the most likely because maybe he knew that this was like a pivotal moment in your life that you could end up doing one of two things:
sure.
going all the fucking way left or staying straight.
I was broken and continued to struggle with that for a long time, but I felt as if I needed to worship. And then I almost fell on my knees in front of thousands of people because I felt so disconnected almost from like what was happening. It was so all encompassing of what I was experiencing. Spoken so clearly to my spirit was God putting his hand on me and saying, I'm here for you and I'll never leave you. And I wept tears of joy. And right at that moment, they called me up on stage. And I went up there and I basically never looked at that yellow piece of notebook paper and spoke for a long time. And it's funny, like when you really experience God like that.
You don't need a script afterwards.
No. And I walked up on that stage and, well, laughing, said, God, this sounds ridiculous to even ask, but like, I'm not here for you. I'm here to tell people what Jenna was like.
That experience sounds like it almost the moments leading up to you getting up onto the pulpit or stage or what it was, uh, saved you in a way.
Mm,
You were going to go up and do a speech with regards to a certain aspect of what you had written down, and all of a sudden you felt that it was easier to speak from the heart and express to God at that time how grateful she was for having Lyfe, basically. I think hopefully it was received extremely well amongst the congregation that was there to celebrate one's death.
It was.
When this had all happened, and then 4 years later, your father passes on, that's a lot of loss for one person to deal with in a short period of time. We're not most aware or capable at that age of being aware of our emotions in such a loss. And at that time, drugs, alcohol, these are all coming into your life, or they're already in your life. And even though you had found God at that moment, I have to imagine you were still veering a little bit to the left of kind of not burying, but drinking or escaping from
I still did.
the constant
Absolutely.
thoughts of these massive losses. How did you pull yourself out of those situations? Because now you're a very much functional person.
Don't overjudge the
Well,
outfit.
yeah,
I'm
but
a
you know what I'm saying.
working stiff came right from the office,
You're in
but
a
yeah.
good marriage. You have a good job. You take care of house and home. You're not out drinking 7 nights a week. You're not raping, pillaging, stealing, killing. Like, you're an upstanding citizen. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
And it's not an easy road to get there when one has dealt with certain things in their journey. And you had dealt with two very large losses in the years of your 20s. How does one get from that mindset to a better place?
I did hit rock bottom. So when in between my sister passing and my father,
Yes.
well, let's say this. I drank and smoked pot since I was 13, 14 years old. When I lost Jenna, that's when something really, there was a reason why I was doing that, right? I didn't necessarily tell myself that, but I was drinking a ton. I've not done heroin, but I've pretty much done all the other drugs.
You hit rock bottom at this point in your life, which is a much easier escape, because focusing on the negatives, focusing on the what I don't have, and it's easier. And then when you're doing that, it's even easier to escape and drink and
You know what's crazy? If I'm going to be fully transparent about how that actually went down, so I did party really hard to cover that up. I didn't know what to do with
so
losing Jenna, but at the same time, I felt like I had the ability to not choose that path at that point. I just made the wrong choices,
right.
candidly. Life is funny how, like, your rock bottom, your brokenness, your suffering can end up being your biggest strength. I tried to really carry that. And at that time, I took, like you said, you got to let things go. At that time, I went, I need to be this strong person. But losing my father really brought all of that together into this. Like, I went fully into grief and full blown depression. And I didn't know how to I didn't know how to deal with it. I started doing a lot of drugs. Drinking a lot. And I was never addicted to any like one thing, right? I was really just whatever was in that trash can. I was doing it to get rid of.
Well, I think you were addicted to not dealing with what was inside.
Yeah, escaping.
That's what you were addicted to, is not facing the eventual truth of having to change who you were becoming at that time into a better person.
Mm-hmm.
What might it have been that helped you with the change?
Well, rock bottom.
But what happened at rock bottom that you were all of a sudden like, okay, no, I need to do this now.
I got arrested.
Okay, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got arrested. I got really drunk at a friend's party and I went into the wrong house.
Damn.
At the end of the day, grown man goes into the wrong house. Bad things happen. Nothing ended up happening. Nobody got hurt. But that was a real wake up call.
So when you say you got arrested, like full on cuffed, back of the squad car to
Sure.
jail, processed. the whole nine.
Yeah, I mean, bailed out to go from breaking so much that I found myself there was wow. I moved back to Florida then. I was in New Jersey at the time. I didn't white knuckle it and go, I need to never drink again. Honestly, I still partied on and off and I was still healing and going through it. But I think that was the point where I dropped it and opened my hand and just said, I've broken this and I am broken. And I'd like to have a life that's worth living in a positive way and shines and honors the eternal residue of what's in me of my sister and my father. That brokenness really gave me the ability to love well and to connect with meaning and purpose, taking the complication out of it and just walking forward, finding something worth fighting for and not holding on anymore to the fact that I felt like, looking back, I felt like I needed to maybe punish myself for what it is that had happened. And when I could let it go, when somebody's been to the very bottom, just put one foot in front of the other, you didn't have much left. When the hurt has gone so deep and you've suffered so much, put up with the pain to go get the thing out there as opposed to doing the easy thing right now, right? Like it's pretty.
Listen,
Let's not overcomplicate it,
well,
right?
that's
Like,
the thing, but we do. Well, we think the easy thing is to not try when we're so far down to being broken and the pieces are shattered. It's easier to just continue on that rinse and repeat motion than, like I said, facing yourself.
mm,
That's the toughest thing. Like looking yourself in the mirror and taking accountability for where you're at, regardless of what has happened. You are now choosing every day to be here in that situation still. You chose
of course I did.
to do that.
Of course I did. So much. There's a reason why. Like, I'm not in AA right now. What I've spent,
Were you?
I've spent time in the rooms.
Okay.
Yes, and honestly, I wish church was AA. I think in so many ways, like AA, like represents what church should be. God is pulling the broken in to find community, heal, shine light out.
Well, you're given I don't disagree with you. The idea behind, because I as well have not gone to an AA meeting. I've not even been in the room, to be honest with you. I see the similarity giving people the venue to be vulnerable and stand beside each other and express to each other what they've gone through in life to help one another go through life.
Mhm,
Absolutely. I mean, AA, the 12-step program that's been created through that, is used in so many different programs. Even in one's life that's never gone down that route, let's say, could take the 12 steps to create a better life for themselves. And
mhm,
so if you implemented that idealism into temple, church, mosque, whatever your faith might be, it probably would generate a quicker collectiveness
mm,
amongst everybody. I admit coming back into my personal faith in life has drawn me into a more successful living. There's no
mm,
question about it. I did get out of the alcoholism through just changing my lifestyle, through changing my environment, and changing the people I was hanging out with. I'm not saying that the people I started hanging out with afterwards weren't drinking and I wasn't still drinking. I just wasn't drinking every single day
mm,
and not drinking for the reason of not thinking or being able to just pass out. Um, Whatever it is that allows you. And what I was going to ask is, do you feel that by allowing God into your life and by saying that he helped you to get out of it, unlike others who just do it on their own, almost allowed you to take the weight off of you because he was willing to take it on himself for you.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Is that when you're have to let go of something that you're so entangled to, looking back and knowing now, seeing what he's done and how that's played out in my life, but so many of these moments, right? Like it was the release that I just went, none of this matters anymore. And I just got to walk forward. And things came in line one piece at a time. And I didn't get in my own way. I just went, it's worth taking this next step. And what I've been given in this life is worth taking a risk for a better thing a little bit further down the road than just wallowing into this pain.
Abyss.
Yeah, just
It's almost like knowing where you want to get to is obviously a good thing because you need to know where you need to get out of and you need to know where you want to go. But
mm,
focusing on that one step today,
mm,
which in turn brings into the ideology of being present,
mm,
that allows you to not bear the burden of everything. Because, like you said, you get out of your own way and realize that I can get there with some
mhm,
help. I can get there. For me, I believe in God. He's there to help me. So I'm not going to worry about the 25 steps I need to take. I'm going to take the first step today. And then tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll take the first step for that day. And that allows you to have a little less weight on your shoulder, focus less on everything that's crashing down upon you, and just realize that I can have a better today.
to realize that all we have ever had is right now. All you have is being shared right now. All we ever really have is the present in this crazy experience that we have been gifted with. And when you lose everything, and so many people that are already at rock bottom, right, are really struggling, wherever it is that you find yourself and you've struggled through it, and if you know what it's like to chew glass and stare into the abyss because you've hurt and don't know what to do with it, allow yourself to let go of it, allow yourself to experience the eternal and let go, because what it is you need to get there is just the ability to be present and the ability to go through that level of pain and see good come from it. Because as you start to take step by step by step and you see light in other people's eyes, you see good things happening and joy and all these things that were dark, heavy, and broken to the core become more beautiful than anything ever could have been if it never was broken. And that is, I don't understand this mystery in so many ways. We need to have that humility, but
Yeah,
like
100%. There's so much
it's
going on that
beautiful.
we don't yet fully understand. And for myself, there's so many things I'm chipping away at and asking questions within myself. The ability that you have had, and anyone else out there who has gone to rock bottom and has gotten to the point of being able to see the good in it,
Mhm.
it's remarkable that a human being can see it in that way. That's how you get out of it, is witnessing the fact that you have gone through this. It's now fortified you into the human that you were supposed to become, which in turn is such a great thing because you're able now to sit here and share this and help other people that may be starting that journey of destruction or starting that journey of depression, and having people like yourself sharing their experiences and making it human for them. Since we're having a human experience, they're able to
So
go somewhere and see that they too can survive when they are ready to make the choices to look within and ask for help and take that one step today. And the greatest thing is that you've become successful at living. And it's such a difficult fucking thing. There's no memo given to us at a young age that all these things could possibly happen to, for, against us. Life is just going to happen. It's going to unravel itself. It can be scary, fucking hard, hurtful, but at the same time, you can look through that and it can be absolute joyous. And you can absolutely create a much better day tomorrow if you're willing to survive through it. And every human being on this rock, regardless of age, they have survived that many days or that many years in life. And that's a huge thing that we need to share with each other, is the realization that no matter what you're going through, everyone is going through something. You never know truthfully what's going inside someone else's mind because you're not living their life. But they, as much as you have, survived every day that they are still living on this rock. And in that itself is something to be joyful about.
You're right. For some reason, the burden of my spirit at that time was saying, I don't know what you want from me. The experience I had at my sister's funeral was
Surreal.
yes. Be careful what you pray for.
100%. He will give you everything that you want. And it's the specifics that are important when you are asking for things. With what you just said earlier, I'm going to quote a rapper: don't believe in what you hear, believe in what you see. And they're very good words, because a lot of people have a lot of shit to say, but unless you see it, unless you know it, what's the point of listening to it? It doesn't make sense to me. Asking for the things you want in life is dangerous, because yes, you could very well get them. If you ask for the right things in life, and if you are who you say you are, right? Not just say things, but follow them up with the actions that you tell people. You become the person that you say you are, and specifically ask for the things that you would like with a genuine good heart, in hopes that you're going to help others. I think you'll end up receiving more than you could ever imagine. Your story is hard for a lot of people to even fathom, because they've never been in a situation of losing someone, or not in the way in which you did. The fact that you've gotten yourself out of that through the help of yourself, the fact that you can sit here now and share that story with other people, in return, it will help others live their life better. I know that, even if it's one person out there that hears this podcast and takes what you say to heart, and helps themselves get out of their situation. Your words here is doing that for someone else. And to wrap it up with the fact of letting go, nobody that has gotten themselves to a better place hasn't done the action of letting go in order to get themselves to a better place. So that is without a doubt a very important message for everybody. For all my lifers out there, thank you for coming back each and every week here on the Life Choices podcast, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.